Previously on Feats of Strength.
Solid,
excellent, clean. Excellent. Come on, Luke. You got
Has he
this.
got the press?
Let's go. Come
Oh,
on.
he's
Press
got
it.
it.
Press it. Press it. Oh. So close.
Not the best, you know. Gave it my best. I almost had in that first attempt. Didn't really know I had a second attempt, so it's one of those things, you know. I'm gutted, raging I didn't get it. I know it's there. I know I can press 230 kilos, but it just wasn't meant to be today, unfortunately. So,
Scotland, Kingdom of Alba, the land of the free yet punishing highlands and undulating lowlands, where battles were fought and warriors were born, hardened by weather, history and unforgiving terrain, covered in mountains, lochs and barren lands. Only the strong, only the brave will emerge from the lands to defeat and conquer.
Just like everyone else, here at Castle Water, we've adopted how we're doing business during this time of crisis. And while you may be spending more time putting water to work at home, we too are keeping safe, working from home, so we can continue to support you and provide you with business water services.
If you're temporarily closing your business or reducing your opening hours due to the COVID-19 virus, please visit castlewater.co.uk to let us know as soon as possible.
In some cases, this could significantly reduce your Castle Water bills.
You'll also find our customer portal, My Account and other self-serve features such as paying your bill online, viewing invoices extremely helpful.
Our commute to work may be shorter, but our commitment to you is as strong as ever.
you know, we're competing against each other, but we still want each other to like break records and make history.
Every day you're in pain in some way or another. You have to be able to sort of put your mind in a place to be able to do the things you do.
Basically anything's possible if they're willing to put the time in, and they can get to the top.
We started with a can, added 200, no 250, no 300 milligrams of natural caffeine, extracted from plants. Yeah, plants. So you could do this, but not this. Vitamins B3, B6, B12, you're welcome. BCAAs, that just happened. Plus electrolytes, because sweat, and CoQ10, because we had room. And then we made it taste good, without the sugar. Now, go drink it. That's how we made Rain total body fuel.
Well, folks, here we are again at the Stoltman's top secret training facility here in the Highlands of Scotland. Today, we're going to see another WS feat of strength featuring the Castle Water 286 kilogram world record stone, which will be performed by one of the brothers, Tom Stoltman. Let's see how he gets on.
I am Tom Stoltman, I'm 25. I live in the Highlands of Scotland in a small town called Alness. Nicknamed the Albatross because of my wingspan. I've always loved sport, football, anything that had a ball. I was diagnosed with Asperger's, what I thought was an illness that would change my life. When I was younger, my dad worked away a lot, hardly ever see him, but my mum was at home, tried to look after me, my sisters, my brothers, everyone tried to look after me, and it was quite a hard upbringing for me. The only thing that was keeping me going at that point was I excelled at physical education and I played football, and like I said, played everything sport-wise was the thing that was keeping me going, and I wanted everybody to know that I had autism because I was going in and out of classes, I was getting support, I was getting help with work. I was only going into school 2-3 hours a day. Asperger's was just a stepping stone on the way to getting to kind of where I am today. 2013, I went down to watch Luke do Scotland's Strongest Man in his first year of competing and his first year doing Scotland's Strongest Man, and that's when I seen these guys lift cars, lift logs, lift things I didn't even know was possible to lift. And seeing Luke win that gave me a buzz saying, like, if he can do it, then I don't see why I couldn't do something like this. Having Luke as a kind of role model to look up to and help me through the first few years was incredible, and getting to the World's Strongest Man finals with Luke and being crowned as officially the world's strongest brothers. Going to Wus and myself and Luke being in the top 3 at the first kind of international comp, which is special, and kind of that's when we, I think, put our names on the map and made a staple in the game of Strongman. It felt like I had one World's Strongest Man on that stage, and that was an incredible feeling, and it's just memories like that that makes this sport special. So my aspirations in life is trying to help people with kind of the same difficulties that I had growing up, and to help maybe parents who don't understand as much about autism and special additional needs as they would like. You know, I mean, I had the most supportive mum in the world, supportive dad, family, and everyone was there for me, and I want to kind of give that back. I've got Asperger's and I'm one of the strongest men in the world, and if someone said that to me 10 years ago, I would just laugh in their face going, you know, I'm different to everyone else, I'm not going to do it. But that's my probably biggest aspiration, is to try and motivate people who have got additional needs to achieve their goal, and don't let anybody tell you that anything's impossible, because that is a massive like boundary that people say, and I listened to that for a while. But yeah, my biggest aspiration is to help people to become like the next, well, Tom Stoltman, Luke Stoltman, you know, and I want to do that to someone that's maybe got additional needs and needs that bit extra push. So I always use the motto, don't give up, and don't let boundaries get in your way, and hopefully I'm a good example of that with what I've kind of said about my Asperger's and autism, and also make goals, but make goals that people think are impossible to break, and then let the haters talk and let them say their thing and go and prove people wrong, and also stay spicy, stay safe, and smile. That is the most important 3.
And welcome back to the World's Ultimate Strongman Strength Feat series. We started off with a super inspirational video from the man himself, Tom Stoltman, who today is going to be attempting a world record Atlas stone hoist. I think he's going for 286 kilos today. I'm Mark Boyd. I'm joined today with our official commentator, Lauren Shalley. How's it going, Loz?
I'm very good, Mark. How's things?
Yeah, all good. Have you recovered from the heartbreak of last week?
We're back with the Stoltman brothers again. It was so close for Luke last week. I think everyone felt for him. But today is a new day. We've got the younger brother, Tom, attempting to break his own world record. I think currently it stands at 273 kilos.
Yeah,
I believe.
Earlier this year, yeah.
Yeah, earlier this year. And today, I mean, he's proved, how many times has he proved he's the best stone lifter in the world in modern times? The last 2 years, it's really been his event that he's dominated. And today he wants to take his own record up even closer to that magic 300 mark.
Yeah, definitely, and I think he's in good stead for that 300. Obviously, today he has that little sort of stepping stone towards his 300. So let's see how he gets on today. What do you think? Do you think he's got it in the bag?
You know what? Tom's a guy that when it comes to the Atlas Stones, you just don't back against him. He's so good. I've seen him so many times dominate the event. The first time he really sort of came onto my radar was at a world event that I was competing at back in 2017. And Tom was a young kind of rookie, not really that well known. And he went and won the Atlas Stones against some really well-established athletes back then. And since then, I've just seen his confidence grow. He's blossomed into this fantastic all-round athlete, but Stones still remains his favorite event. And I really, all these records are tough, but I've got 100% faith that he can do it today.
Yeah, no, he's definitely came on. Even as a personality, you can see he's blossomed, and I think the sport has definitely helped that. As he said in the short clip at the start there, he's blossomed as a personality and as a strength athlete. He's came on leaps and bounds, as you say.
100%. As a parent to an autistic kid myself, seeing kind of role models like Tom, like Luke and other athletes, but particularly Tom, because, he does suffer himself. And I remember when I first met him, he really was quite introverted. He didn't speak to anyone. And now you see this, fantastic athlete. He's gained confidence in himself. He's inspiring other kids and other grown-ups as well to achieve their goals. It's brilliant to see. And like I said, I'm a parent of an autistic child, so for me particularly, seeing kind of role models like Tom, it means a lot.
No, it's great to see. It's great to see. Obviously, we have Big Z back in the picture today as the official Strength Feat Series referee. He's sort of getting himself ready for Tom building up. What do you think sort of Big Z's main points was for today?
Well, having Big Z as part of this whole series is fantastic. But it's going to be a quiet job for Zydrunas today. It's not like last week with the log where he's really particularly looking for anything other than to declare whether it's, whether Tom will get the record or not. Like last week with Luke, we knew Zydrunas was going to be strict with the lockouts. He made Luke hold them for a good amount of time. He was very legit. He wanted the lifts to be really legitimate. Whereas with the stone, Tom will either put it over or he won't. There's not going to be any kind of interference from Zydrunas in terms of having, making Tom wait longer than he needs to or anything like that. So it's quite a quiet day really for Zydrunas. He's just got to make sure he stays awake, watches the stone go over, and declares it, hopefully a new world record.
Yeah, I think one point that sort of to take note of is when he's loading the stone, he can't actually touch the implement itself. So he has to actually get the stone over, not using sort of...
He can't use the platform to balance himself or anything like that.
No, he can touch the platform with the stone, but any body part that touches the platform is a sort of no-go with that.
What's the time limit that Tom has? Do we know?
60 seconds he has to get it over. Same again, he has 2 attempts, 60 seconds each attempt. Hopefully we don't need those attempts with Tom and his stone hoist.
I really think Tom is going to make this, let's not say comfortable. This is a world record we're talking about. And, it wasn't long ago, people didn't even dream of lifting 220 kilo stones, never mind, 280 plus. But he's got that ridiculous wingspan. He's got tremendous back strength, and he's got height as well, which makes the stones that little bit more comfortable, I guess.
You can see him in the background. He's very chilled out. He's got a big cheeky smile on his face, or a spicy smile. He'd probably say. I think he looks quite chilled.
He does. The whole he's really sort of, like we said earlier, he's blossomed the last couple of years. I remember seeing him early on, and you could see the pressure on him, the pressure that he put on himself. And I think because he was such a good youngster, there was a lot of people bigging him up and putting that external pressure on him. Whereas now he's sort of come into his own. He's a confident young man now. He's still only 25 years old. He's still a young man. He's still got so much ahead of him, but he just looks like he enjoys it a lot more. He's taken that pressure off his back and he's just having fun with it.
Yeah, he's definitely in his element. Definitely. a big thing with Tom as well, he doesn't actually lift with any sort of support equipment. He doesn't really use the stone sleeves. He doesn't really use a belt. He goes in there, typical Scotsman, raw. He goes in raw.
Manly kind of stone lifting. Classic old school stone lifting.
Yeah. And that's a point to note as well, is the sort of history behind stone lifting is actually in Scotland, with the sort of different stones that are spread across the Highlands and the Lowlands, where you can actually do a tour of the stone lifting.
Yeah, it's something I'd love to do. I still haven't been up to Scotland to try all the different stones, but I think the Scottish stones and the Icelandic stones, they're the really well-known kind of traditional stones that kind of they really were all about becoming a man back in the, that's the history behind them. They had various different shapes, various different weights, and it was all kind of, from that adolescent becoming a man. If you could lift these stones, you were seen as one of the men. And
the manhood stones.
Yes, and Tom is pretty much the best in the world at it.
Yeah. And Tom's 6'7", 6'8".
He is a tall lad. I think he's 6'8".
Yeah,
he's around the 165, 170 kilo mark. In good shape and athletic with it. He's called the albatross for a reason, with those ridiculously long, arms that give him such a wingspan that he can clamp around the stone, and then just with that back power, he'll hoist it up. And I've been unlucky enough to be head to head with him on stones in competitions before, and he's round, cheering you on the last three while he's already finished.
Yeah, that's one he did last year with the 10 stone. The infamous 10 Atlas stone. He absolutely annihilated that.
Just way ahead of everyone else. Even the year before, I think he won the stones in Dubai. He's so good at them. Guys like Brian Shaw and Hafthor, they're up there as well. But I think this young man has kind of taken this event as his own. He's beaten them all. There's no one he's not beaten on stones, and he has lifted the heaviest stone. And today he's aiming to break his own record.
Yeah, he's kind of taken the bull by the horns with this event, and sort of he's kind of in his own league with it. I know Brian Shaw was sort of one of the best lifters, but I think when Tom came on the scene, that changed quite quickly.
Yeah, he really has made it his own event. I can't remember the last time seeing Tom beaten at stones. Whether it's a stone for weight or if it's a series, he really has, made it his event.
Dominated.
I think we'd have to go back a few years now to see him not winning an Atlas stone.
Yeah, and it's one of the more classic strongman events is the Atlas stones, isn't it? It's always a sort of finale of each strongman, and it's always sort of been there, hasn't it, from the very start?
It's a funny one. Stones in general have been around for years, hundreds of years. Yeah. But it wasn't in the first original few World's Strongest Man contests. It's actually become one of the most popular, and certainly modern kind of, the last 20 years, it's the staple event. And like you say, it's always there to finish off a contest. They kind of kill you with all the other events, and then finally you've got to hit these, huge slabs of concrete and load them onto a platform, getting heavier and heavier. It's a tough event. It was always one of my least favourites, probably the wrong word, but it's an event I struggled with to start with. I've sort of got better over the years, but guys like Tom have just shot onto a completely another level.
Yeah, if you can see there, he's applying the tacky, and there's a little sort of secret to what he's done there. He's put the tacky on the back of his hand. Normally that's sort of done when you've got the longer stone runs, right? When you need to sort of quickly reapply the tacky to get it moving.
Sometimes you lose a bit of tacky as you move from stone to stone. So a little trick a lot of the guys do is just have some on the back of their hand so they can swipe it, make sure their hands have got a bit more tacky on, ready for the next stone. I think it's probably more habit that he's done it today. Yeah. He's not going to need that there's going to be no need to re-tacky up. He's going to make sure it's all on his hands. But I think we've said with Thor's deadlift and with Luke last week, all the athletes have their own little kind of habits and routines that they go through. And it just becomes, you don't even think about it. He's just doing what he does every week in training. And, he's not even thinking about it. This for him is just a training lift.
Yeah. And you can see Luke, his big brother there, getting the stones out ready for him. Tom's just chilling in the back. I think he sort of took a wee note from Luke's last week. Is that the leaf blower he's got?
He's making sure there's no dust or anything, trying to make sure the stones are as clean as possible. And that's a factor with Atlas stones and all types of stones. They do dry up and you get kind of that chalky kind of
gritty.
Dust. Yes. And that can make them a little bit harder. So they're just trying to make sure they're as clean as possible. There's no dust on the floor. We want to make sure everything's as perfect as possible for this attempt.
Yeah, and these Atlas stones are from Atlas Endurance, and I think they're actually named the Castle Stones.
The Castle Stones, excellent.
The Castle Stones.
I love this platform that they've had built as well. It's got their names on it. It's a nice looking bit of kit. Stoltman there on the front.
Stoltman, yeah.
I mean, usually we're lifting onto platforms. They have to lift over this today. And that's actually quite hard. I don't know if any of you guys watching have trained the Atlas stones over a yoke. It's actually a little bit more tricky than just putting it onto a platform. You've really got to kind of get up and over rather than just lifting it on. And
he's got the breadth of it to sort of clear as well. If you look at the thickness,
it's a very thick bit of kit.
Yeah, the sort of basic rules with the Atlas stone hoist is 48 inches from the floor to the top of the platform. So that's something that's been taken into consideration when they've put that bit of kit together.
Just like everyone else, here at Castle Water, we've adopted how we're doing business during this time of crisis. And while you may be spending more time putting water to work at home, we too are keeping safe, working from home, so we can continue to support you and provide you with business water services.
If you're temporarily closing your business or reducing your opening hours due to the COVID-19 virus, please visit castlewater.co.uk to let us know as soon as possible.
In some cases, this could significantly reduce your Castle Water bills.
You'll also find our customer portal, My Account, and other self-serve features such as paying your bill online, viewing invoices extremely helpful.
Our commute to work may be shorter, but our commitment to you is as strong as ever.
I never lose, I always win. I pay my dues, so let's begin. Write it down now. Look, old boy got the crown now. I'm on the scene, picking it up, switching the flow. Oh, what a pity, you know what a shame. Yo, what a winner, you should've came. I just be repping my city in vain. Keep it up and I'm willing to train. I just be ripping and flowing insane. Yo, just be dripping a blood of the rain. I just be whipping you, living in pain. Keep it up and it go to your brain. Do be switching, no competitions in the vision. Listen, movie tripping. I'm looking shit, my inner brain be ripping. Movie tripping. I'm not the one to play to stop the dissing. Cool, so listen, let's keep it simple. Listen, I've been driven.
We're competing against each other, but we still want each other to break records and make history.
Every day you're in pain in some way or another. You have to be able to sort of put your mind in a place to be able to do the things you do.
Basically anything's possible if they're willing to put the time in, and they can get to the top.
Let's go. All the way up.
But we're going to get on with our first attempt for Tom today. He's going to be attempting 180 kilos. Pretty comfortable weight for him. You know, he just wants to make sure this is going to go up easy and build towards attempt 2 and 3.
What do we think? Do you think a winner is, as we call it, a winner over that platform or over the...
For mere mortals, 180 kilo stone is incredible. But for Tom, he could slam dunk it.
No, definitely.
You know, we finish with heavier stones than this at a lot of contests now. This is like his last warm up. Really, he's doing it as an official lift, but it's his last warm up before he jumps to the really big stones.
So here he is. He's got his gum shield in, has he? Making sure the tacky's all over the body.
Up to the lap. Little adjustment of the stone over the top, and an extremely easy lift there for Tom.
No problem at all there for Tom. No problem.
I've seen him one motion those stones. It's good to see he's thinking. You know, he knows he can't one motion the world record stones, so I think he's trying to warm up the whole movement, how he will perform with the heavier ones, which is smart.
Breaking it down and breaking the technique down, getting the positions correct, sort of mind-muscle connection, muscle memory, getting that all involved.
Exactly that. Now, one thing I was going to say before Tom did his first lift there, what's a little bit different about stones to, say, the log and deadlift that we've seen, is the increments aren't as easy to jump up as, say like on a bar, we can go up in whatever we want, whereas we're limited to the stones that they have this time. So, you know, maybe he would want a heavier stone than that, but they don't actually have access to them. So, you know, that can be a factor in terms of the jumps that he makes, and I think he just wanted that to be a really comfortable lift, as we saw it was.
Yeah. And just to put into perspective, 180 kilos to pick up with just your bare hands is a mass amount of weight. But before we even go up another 100 kilos, that itself, I mean, he's going for a few more reps. It's still a massive amount of weight, the 180.
Well, but back in the day, 180 was heavier than the last stone at World's Strongest Man. You know, when stones first started, I think the heaviest one was around 140, maybe even slightly less. Like all the events we've spoken over the last few weeks, the progress has been incredible. And it comes down to people training specifically on these events, athletes evolving, you know, training-wise, diet-wise, recovery-wise. They're professional athletes now, rather than strong guys having a go at something.
Yeah. How would you train for the Atlas Stone specifically, Loz? I actually spoke with Tom's coach regarding that, and he gave me a good breakdown. How would you sort of train for them? Would you do specifically the Atlas Stones, or would you incorporate a lot of accessory movements that are similar?
I would focus on the actual movement. Any kind of lift you're looking to perform records in, you need to be practicing the movements. If you want to be good at bench pressing, you need to bench press. If you want to be good at Atlas Stones, you need to do Atlas Stones. Naturally, there's plenty of movements that are going to strengthen up the muscle groups that you'll be using. So you're going to be deadlifting, maybe things like power cleans, glute bridges, things that are going to involve those big, you know, muscle groups, glutes, quads, hamstrings. Well, it's all to do with the triple extension from the floor. But I would be focusing, especially if you have the equipment, train on it. In the winter, or when I don't have competitions coming up, my training would be focused on gym lifting. But when you get competitions coming up, you try and make it as specific as possible. And I'm sure Tom's been, you know, on these stones for a good few months now, at least every other week, if not every week. One thing with Tom, as we saw, he doesn't wear the sleeves on his forearms, so sometimes you can kind of mark and scar up your arms, which then takes a little bit of recovering from. But I'd definitely be trying to train on the actual stones.
No, for sure.
Just like everyone else, here at Castle Water, we've adopted how we're doing business during this time of crisis. And while you may be spending more time putting water to work at home, we too are keeping safe, working from home, so we can continue to support you and provide you with business water services.
If you're temporarily closing your business or reducing your opening hours due to the COVID-19 virus, please visit castlewater.co.uk to let us know as soon as possible.
In some cases, this could significantly reduce your Castle Water bills.
You'll also find our customer portal, My Account, and other self-serve features such as paying your bill online, viewing invoices extremely helpful.
Our commute to work may be shorter, but our commitment to you is as strong as ever.
What does it mean to be strong? Just how much graft is there to try and be the best at what you do? What makes someone want to be a champion, then wake up day after day just to do it all again? Even when the goal seems impossible. We'll let them tell you. We the Strong. Go to MirrorFit Official on YouTube to watch all the episodes.
Let's go. Up. All the way up. Go.
I am Nathan Payton, nutritionist to Tom Stoltman, as well as the only nutritionist to have 5 World's Strongest Man titles to my repertoire, all 4 with Brian Shaw and 1 with your current and 2019 champion, Martin Zalisis. So it's been quite an interesting journey with Tom. Tom is not like a lot of my other clients. His appetite, he definitely sets the world record as far as amongst my clients with his appetite. I've never seen anything quite like it. He can eat unbelievable amounts of food, and then he'll get a hold of me 45 minutes later and let me know he's still hungry and what can he do about that. So basically that's all a side effect because he's growing so fast, his strength is progressing so fast that everything has had to adapt and adjust on the fly. I'd like to point out I don't have any 2 clients who are on the same diet. Everybody's diet is unique to them specifically based on my assessments and what they need. And then from that foundation, we branch off and grow. So that's why all my guys progress in the manner that you see them go, because everything is individualized, specific for them. With Tom, a typical diet, basically there's a lot of meat. His diet is very varied because I think variety is important because your body's digestive enzymes need to replenish and they need to be affected by different foods that are coming in. So you don't want to use kind of the same food over and over again because you're going to deplete those enzymes. So it's best to kind of have a balance and a variety. And of course with me, everything that I'm kind of known for is basically related to insulin, manipulating insulin, and manipulating insulin sensitivity directly at the receptors. So in order to do that, I can take his strength and kind of either bring him up to peak for a certain time, or I can give him kind of a longer lasting endurance, you know, if it's something like a contest scenario. So everything is manipulated and adjusted on the fly based on the event, based on the contest, and based on what's needed for the athlete. with Tom, like, you know, he'll get a lot of cheat meals basically because, again, trying to keep up with his growth levels. You can't eat clean all the time. You need to eat clean to set a foundation, but then you have to constantly throw stimulus at the body in order to surprise it and take it to new places and get it to react. And especially when they're coming into big lifts or big events and big contests, you know, obviously a baseline of something that the body is always used to won't take you anywhere special. So you can't eat the same thing that you've eaten for 12 weeks and expect to have this miraculous event happen on the contest, or in this situation, for a world record. You've got to throw some new things, some new stimulus at it, so that it can take you to places that are elevated above where it's normally been. I like to kind of think that my clients train somewhat in a deficit a lot of the time, because again, the way that I manipulate the insulin levels and their sensitivity, I'll keep them somewhat restricted on calories for certain times, and then I'll bring them up either during the day or every few days in order to, again, kind of surprise that metabolism and keep manipulating things. So the body, if it's forced to train, adapt in conditions that are somewhat of a deficit, when you go and then turn it loose and give it, you know, an overabundance of food and calories, that gives you just an intense stimulus to the body and you get that reaction. You've seen that a lot with, you know, the way Martins reacts during contests, where during training it looks like maybe he's operating subpar, but then all of a sudden during contests he's become known as a gamer. And that's because he gets stronger and stronger as the contest goes on with each event and through the 1 or 2 days of the contest. And that's because I'm manipulating those insulin levels and getting him to peak, and his body's responding. So that's why he surges throughout the contest and elevates. And that's what you see with Tom, and what I predict you'll see with the Stones here today. Probably Tom's favorite food when it comes to getting set for some of the big lifts during his training, as he likes to call it, a double burger, double fries. And with that, he can have the amount of meat does not matter, and the amount of fries does not matter. He is just to take basically what is his normal diet and double it up, the portion that I allow him on that day. And then we go from there. And again, that's an additional stimulus so that his body will react. Tom probably has the potential to weigh 375, 400 pounds. Today, he's probably sitting at around 360. So, but he's got a very big frame, obviously, and he still has abs. So we'll be able to take him to some pretty big sizes in the future. You've seen the way he's progressed, and I have no doubt that he's definitely going to be a future World's Strongest Man champion at some point.
So we've got attempt number 2 coming up. 250 kilos this time. This is a much bigger jumper and genuinely an extremely heavy stone. Just to, you know, put it into context, I've never lifted a 250 kilo stone, and I've won Atlas stones in, you know, various contests around the world.
I don't think there's many laws that have actually lifted 250. What do you think? Is there?
There's a small handful, definitely. Maybe likes of Brian Shaw, Hathor, and the man we're watching now.
Yeah, I don't even think Hathor's have lifted 250, to be honest. I think his PB's 220.
Really?
So this is...
It's 250 Atlas stone. I mean, there's not many 250 Atlas stones or stones in general around.
Yeah.
But I have actually tried to lift a 250 kilo stone before, and I pulled my hamstring.
I was about to say, you obviously survived the lift.
Yeah, it didn't budge off the floor. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and this is beyond the weight of Luke's log press last week. So this is.
It's such an awkward event, the stones, because there's nothing to grab hold of, and they use the tacky to try and help stick to it a little bit. But believe me, you could stick to yourself with super glue, and it's still going to be hard to lift that weight off the floor. It's like it's a greater range of motion than a deadlift. For kind of PTs watching, trying to teach people how to do this kind of lift, lifting the stones is not something you would teach someone to do, because your whole body is kind of it's like cobra, like wrapped around the Atlas stone. And in terms of keeping yourself in a neutral position, your spine in a neutral position, it's not what you do on the stones, but we have to lift them in the most effective manner. So you sort of wrap yourself around, he'll make sure he laps it onto his lap, and then he'll readjust, arms over the top, and then he'll try and extend through his hips and roll the stone up his body, and then obviously just pop it over at the top. He makes it look easy.
Here he goes. Let's see what he gets on with the 250.
Right round the middle, onto the lap, arms over the top, then drive through with the hips, roll it up.
As smooth as your commentary, Loz. As smooth as your commentary. That was...
That is how to lift an Atlas stone. For anyone watching, take note. This man is incredible at this event.
Textbook. Absolute textbook.
I'm going to watch it again. Look at this. So arms right around the center of the stone, quickly onto his lap. The arms go over the top. This just improves the positioning to roll it up your body. And then just pops it over nice and easy. Just look how casual it was as well. Just so easy.
Smooth. It was so smooth. And he sort of rows it into his chest, pulls it into his sternum, and then just drives through the hips.
Just keeping it
up
tight.
And over.
If he doesn't kind of readjust and keep it in tight, then he won't have the leverage to pop it over.
If you notice as well, it's a good few inches clearing that beam as well. There's no issues at all with the height. He's up.
Over the top.
He's over the top. No problem for Tom.
Just like everyone else, here at Castle Water, we've adopted how we're doing business during this time of crisis. And while you may be spending more time putting water to work at home, we too are keeping safe, working from home, so we can continue to support you and provide you with business water services.
If you're temporarily closing your business or reducing your opening hours due to the COVID-19 virus, please visit castlewater.co.uk to let us know as soon as possible.
In some cases, this could significantly reduce your Castle Water bills.
You'll also find our customer portal, My Account, and other self-serve features such as paying your bill online, viewing invoices extremely helpful.
Our commute to work may be shorter, but our commitment to you is as strong as ever.
We started with a can, added 200, no 250, no 300 milligrams of natural caffeine, extracted from plants. Yeah, plants. So you could do this, but not this. Vitamins B3, B6, B12, you're welcome. BCAAs, that just happened. Plus electrolytes, because sweat, and CoQ10, because we had room. And then we made it taste good, without the sugar. Now, go drink it. That's how we made Rain total body fuel.
You know, we're competing against each other, but we still want each other to like break records and make history.
Every day you're in pain in some way or another. You have to be able to sort of put your mind in a place to be able to do the things you do.
Basically anything's possible if they're willing to put the time in, and they can get to the top.